Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Compassion and Courage, Conversations in Healthcare. I'm your host, Marcus Engel, and this is the podcast where I teach compassionate communication, provide perspective, and inspire resilience. With me today in the studio is the Hotness.
Good day.
Good day. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic.
Good. So we titled this segment today, "The Gift of Going All the Way."
We did indeed.
And we also chuckled like Beavis and Butthead when we decided on this title. And so to start this off, let me frame this by asking you a question.
Okay, I'm ready. Not at all ready.
Not at all ready. Yeah, I put you on the spot like this, right? So, do you remember when we were dating?
Somewhat.
Somewhat. We are coming up on 15 years now.
Yay.
So when we were dating, we had the additional challenge of being long distance, right?
We did.
You
I
were in
was in
Florida.
Orlando. You were in St.
I
Louis.
was in St. Louis. And it seems like a lot of our time that we spent dating really was over the internet and over the phone, right? We spent a lot of time talking and visiting and writing one another. And yet, whenever we got together in person, usually it was here in Florida, right?
Indeed, yes.
Right. And sometimes you'd come up to St. Louis,
Yes, I did.
but never did we meet in, say, Jackson, Mississippi.
That is true.
Never did we meet in Atlanta. Never did we meet in Chattanooga, right?
That is very true.
Because that would have just been silly. And
That's
so
true.
it just made sense for us, one of us, to go where the other one was instead of splitting the difference. But this is recently, whenever we had dinner a few weeks ago with a friend, he was telling us a story about how he lives in one city and he was going to go on a date with a potential love interest that lived 3 hours away. Now, it's not a flight to get there. And he said that he asked his potential love partner there, he said, hey, how do you want to do this? And she said, well, let's meet in the middle. And he thought about this for a good long while and he said, you know what? Let's not. Let me give you the gift of coming all the way to you, the gift of going all the way to you. He said, why should we meet in the middle when, if it's our first date, it's going to be in some town that neither of us are emotionally connected to? We don't know the restaurant scene there. We don't know the activities. Do we really want our first date to be one where we'd have to go back to the city where we have no emotional ties? And he said, let me just give you the gift of coming all the way to you. And then that way we can go someplace that you love. We can go someplace that you know. And if things end up, love is sparked, then we've got a sweet memory of being there. And you and I talked about this later and thought, that's a really great thing, right? Why meet in the middle? Why not just give the other person the gift of going all the way?
Yes. I'm telling you that I thought about that for days. I'm still thinking about that. That generosity resonated with me so much. That gift of starting out a relationship instead of, oh, I'm not going to give an extra inch. I'm going to meet in the middle. I'll do this if you do that. Instead of starting with, okay, no, I'll do this. I'll give you this gift of an extra, 45 minutes, an extra hour on the road. And then we'll go to your favorite restaurant. We'll do this. It just, it touched my heart. It warmed my heart. And I thought, instead of not only exclusively to setting up a dating relationship, but having that attitude in life where we're not so protective all the time about so many things of, I'll do this, but you gotta do that.
It seems like one of the things that we strive for is to always be fair. And sometimes in the process of trying to be fair, we actually end up shortchanging the other party and ourselves.
And
We try to
ourselves.
split it 50-50 right down the middle, And then where's that leave you? It leaves you in a little town that you don't really know and don't have any emotional connection
With a
to,
gross dinner.
with a potentially gross dinner, right? So I love this idea that you start out a relationship instead of drawing boundaries like this is what I want and this is what I won't put up with, and maybe just start off that idea of generosity. We're always going to try to go the extra mile. We're going to give the other person the benefit of the doubt. We're going to give that other person the gift of keeping them from driving all the way, right? I feel like this is just such a great example of how we can be more generous in not only our deeds and our relationships like that, but it just in general. It gives me more of a mindset that's focused on abundance and generosity and not scarcity, not worrying so much
Hmm.
about 50-50 down the middle. Just be generous. Just be generous, right?
Yes, and if you've been in a relationship, there is no such thing as 50-50,
No,
right?
no,
There's and of course we're not talking about being taken advantage of.
of
But
course.
but there is no such thing as 50-50. You have a need, I'm here 100% for that need.
Hmm.
Then next week I've got the need and you're 100% there for
Yep.
that need. It's here and there and here and there, and ideally there's a cosmic balance that works out, but it is a constant state of flex, you know.
Mm.
It is a constant state of, hey, what's going on? Okay, I'm all in right now for this. I'm all in, I'm ever present, I'm here for this.
You said I love that what you said about it's not 50-50. I heard someone who is not a marriage expert. In fact, this person is a politician, and don't really want to give his name. But somebody once asked him a little bit of relationship advice and said, is a marriage ever 50-50? And he said, no, I don't think it should be. He said, I think a marriage should be 100%, 100% of the time. You're not going to be able to give it, but what you're striving for is to give 100% of yourself. And when we're giving 100% of ourselves, we are less focused on ourselves, right? We're more focused on what we can give rather than what we can gain. And
Mm-hmm.
I think giving people that gift of taking the extra step, it's just a beautiful thing. Just a beautiful thing.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. And of course, for dating, starting out that way is awesome. But how universal is that? That we don't go through life looking for, well, I'm only going to go this far and no farther.
Mm-hmm.
And again, boundaries are important. We
Mm-hmm.
are certainly not talking about anything that is being taken advantage or is inappropriate. But in general, having an attitude of, hey, what can I do? I'm here for you. What can I do? What a great way, an attitude that makes your life fuller.
Doesn't that just come down to presence, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
witnessing another person's problems. We're witnessing their suffering that they don't want to make the drive. So I'll witness that. I will be moved by that. And then I will do what I can to ease that pain from you. And maybe it's something as simple as driving. Maybe it's balancing childcare, et cetera, et cetera. But whenever we do those things, when we set out our feet on the right path of generosity, I think it comes back to us in folds, right? You're going to trust me a lot more if you know that I'm giving 100%, and vice versa. Whenever we're giving 100%, we're not caught up in thinking about ourselves. We're thinking about the other. We're thinking about the needs of that person and what we can do to help satisfy those needs. So I was inspired by hearing this story, and it inspired me to kick up my game a little bit to make sure that I'm giving you 100%. And it's
Ooh.
not just you and I in a marriage. It's in it's in business relationships, right? It's in parent and child and grandparent and grandchild relationships. And so I always want to be that person whose passion is 100%, who's ready to put full force, all of my heart into whatever it may be.
Yes. And you are that kind of person.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you everyone so much for joining us on this little reflection on the gift of going all the way. If you're under 18 or do not have parental permission to go all the way, then, well, we'll come back to that later. So I want to thank everyone for joining us and thank you all for being part of the Compassion and Courage community. Conversations in healthcare, these conversations are enlightening. They're hopefully perspective giving and help us to frame our experiences to try to bring about more compassion, more empathy, and more understanding in our world. Thank you to everyone who has helped promote the community by watching the videos, liking the videos, hitting that subscribe button, rating, reviewing, all that fun stuff. And again, this is Compassion and Courage, Conversations in Healthcare. I'm your host, Marcus Engel, and you are
I'm Marvelyne.
also known as the Hotness. And thank you all so much for being with us for this episode.